Once upon a midnight dreary, in the forlorn town of Salta, there lived a woman struck by tragedy most unforgiving. Arabella was her name, a beauty of raven tresses and porcelain skin, now a grieving widow, forever mourning her beloved husband's untimely demise. With each melancholic sway of the church bell, Arabella's sobs echoed through the forsaken graveyard, where her husband's chilled remains lay interred. Week after wretched week, she knelt before his grave in a trance-like ritual, gently caressing the etched lettering of his name with withering rose petals as her ethereal voice carried the lament of Spanish coplas into the indifferent night air. Mi amor, why were you cruelly ripped from my arms? Without you, I am naught but a hollow shell, a mere revenant trawling the realms between life and death, seeking your spirit's embrace once more. As her tears rolled in rivulets down her pale cheeks, it seemed even the heavens above could not withstand the widow's ceaseless despondency. Dark clouds gathered, unleashing a torrent of rain to weep alongside Arabella's constant vigil beside the grave. But one fateful midnight, after drowning her anguish in crimson wine until the bottle lay empty, Arabella's eyes fluttered shut, never to open again in the world of the living. Her soul ventured forth, braving the labyrinthine paths to the land of the dead itself, on a desperate quest to reunite with her husband's eternal essence. Through endless obsidian forests and across foreboding plains of ash she wandered, pleading for any wraith or spectre to reveal her lover's spirit. Yet no matter how insistently she called out his adored name, the void answered only with mocking silence. At last, defeated and bereft of hope, the widow's spirit retraced its wayward journey through death's grip, re-emerging in the realm of the living as a pale, ephemeral phantom. Her once lustrous locks now fell about her slender shoulders in wispy tendrils of moonlight silver. Drawn back to the graveyard like a scathing siren's call, Arabella resumed her macabre ritual among the sepulchres, her anguished songs to the bardo once rich with life and passion, now transmuted into the hollow, reverberating lamentations of the undead. For some, the sight of Arabella's wraith bride form caused their blood to surge solid as permafrost in their veins. Yet there were others, strange denizens addled by life's twilight, who felt their essence ignited into smouldering devotion by her haunting, melancholy beauty. One such soul was Estli, a mysterious newcomer to the outskirts of Salta, whose albescent tresses and pale, gaunt visage seemed to belong to the realm of the undeparted as much as the widow's. On each midnight that the lunar veil swept aside, Estli would arrive astride his pale spectre steed to bear witness to Arabella's solemn rites at the grave. At last, one moonless night draped in utter onyx, Estli could no longer resist the urge to go to the widow. With a voice like dust scattering from an ancient crypt, he addressed the ethereal beauty. "Dear mistress, I've glimpsed your tragic devotions from afar for far too long. If you would permit, let us ride together on my steed into the gloom-kissed woods, for I too am a restless soul, and perhaps our dolorous vigils may join in lonesome harmony." Arabella's ghostly eyes narrowed, her phantasmal lips pursing in contemplation, before she spoke in a susurrating whisper. "You ask me to cease my steadfast attendance upon my husband's repose, after my quest through death's realm failed to rejoin us. Foolish living boy. You understand naught of the ceaseless dirge which consumes my very essence." Yet even as she protested, Arabella could not deny the feverish curiosity taking root in her spectral bosom about this bizarre outsider whose countenance seemed to straddle both worlds of life and death. With a beckoning crook of her slender finger, she replied, "Very well, Estli, indulge my aimless meanderings this night. But take heed, if you attempt to sever me from my sacred obligations, a torrent of ruinous wrath shall be unleashed to which even death dare not bear witness." Cue thunderclap as they ride off into the gloom on the pale spectre steed, Arabella's haunting melodies lingering in their wake. Estli's pale spectre steed galloped feverishly, its hooves clawing up clouds of dust into the midnight air as horse and riders plunged deeper into the onyx woods outlying Salta. Arabella clung to Estli's waist wrap, her incorporeal form moulding against his back. Though she had spent countless eons of dread purgatory drifting between planes, this night phantom pulled her essence as a lodestar into realms heretofore unexplored. Verdant boughs clawed like arthritic hands at their path, as if the foliage itself fought to impede their journey into unfathomed mysteries. Undaunted, Estley urged his steed onward, until at last they breached a moss-blanketed clearing, and there before them stood an eerie fairy ring of mushroom caps, each pulsing with a sickly bioluminescent glow. The widow recoiled, her phantasmal tresses writhing as if alive. "What secrets of the underworld have you led us to, Estley? This is a place of perilous sorcery where no mortal nor revenant should tread." Estley's mirthless smile creased his pallid features as he slid from the steed with unsettling grace. "You labour under a misassumption, mi destina. I am no mere mortal man." With a flourished gesture, the mushroom ring's eldritch luminescence flared brilliantly, refracting in 1,000 gruesome hues across Estley's colourless eyes. His voice grew dissonant, ebbing between tones both coarsely deep and falsetted shrill. "I am the most ancient of necromancers, kept alive only by locust-wine sacraments of the blackest magical arts. And you, sweet Arabella, are the final spiritual guest whose presence I require to at last shed my wretched undeath and ascend as an eternal leash lord." Suddenly withered hands erupted from the loamy soil, their bony fingers groping for Arabella's vaporous form. As the necromancer's bilious laughter echoed through the damned woods, the widow's screams of terror pierced the night. Arabella's ethereal form recoiled in revulsion as the desiccated, clutching hands erupted from the hallowed soil. No longer was she an incorporeal phantom, passive to the world of the living. By the foulest of necromantic rituals, Estley had ensnared her essence, binding her inside an unholy phylactery as his eternal bride. "Foolish necromancer," she raged, her voice svelte yet potent as a banshee's wail. "Did you naively presume to so easily make a bride of death itself? I am the dark desert winter's bitter spindrift, older than humanity's reckoning and hungering for oblivion's icy vengeance." With a sweeping arc of her skeletal hand, the decayed husks clawing from the loam froze solid in their tracks. Estley's eyes widened in dismay as his undead minions became living statues, their rictus grins immortalized in silent, mocking effigies of his failure. The Leech Queen's empty sockets burned like twin blue hellfires. "You thought to control the unknowable mysteries separating life from endless night? Fool of 1,000 agonized eons, I shall honor you as my eternal groom then, tied for all eternity to my murk-nighted side." A roaring surge of eldritch power pulsed forth from Arabella's outstretched fingertips like a lance of scintillating shadow flame. It lanced through Estley's torso, his eyes and mouth gaping in shock as his flesh crisped to arid cinders in mere moments. As the husk of what was once the vile necromancer clattered lifeless to the loam, the Leech Bride turned her burning gaze to the hastily retreating form of Estley's pale spectre steed, fleeing in terror. Her chilling decree rolled across the hushed, damned woods with all the implacable gravity of the grave. "No living creatures nor spirits shall ever find rest in my embrace, dearest Leash Lord Ezelty. Now, and until the stars blink from the cosmos itself, you and your undead ilk shall serve as eternal examples of the ruination born from attempting to wield death's mysteries against itself." One by one, Estley's remaining undead minions crumbled into frozen, silent husks as Arabella's dread curse sapped their foul animation. Their lichen-dusted remains littered the forest in gruesome poses, some seeming to claw up from beneath the earth's embrace, while others appeared suspended in perpetual, agonized screams. As the Lich Queen's haunting lamentations echoed through the withered trees once more, a chill fog began encroaching upon Salta from the woodlands, a ponderous, icy miasma that would strangle the life from any living thing it touched. For in seeking to control death's inevitability for his own lust of power, the doomed necromancer Estley had succumbed to the curse of humanity's greatest fear, complete eternal oblivion at the hands of the unliving.